Bonjour. Today we're going to look at le conditionnel, the conditional tense. This tense is very straightforward, especially after you have done the future sample. They're very, very alike. In fact, the only difference between them really are the endings. So they're formed the same. So we'll just have a look at what the conditional means. So you use the conditional tense to talk about what might happen. So if you think of the word would, okay, that means your verb's going into conditional. So I would like to become a vet is a conditional. I would like to win the lotto. I would like to go out. She would like to go abroad. They're all conditional tenses. So to form the conditional tense, and just like the future sample, you leave the verb in full, which is called the infinitive form, and you add the following endings onto the verb. This is for the regular verbs. Okay, so the endings are here. They're really important that you learn those off by heart. So the je ending is AIS, tu, AIS, il, elle, on, AIT, nu, IONS, vous, IEZ, il, elle, AIENT. Okay, so again, for the regular verbs, you leave the verb in its full form and you add on to that the ending that you require. Just to remember as well, like you did with the future, the RE verbs that are regular drop the E, and that's just for pronunciation. So you do drop the E and then you put on whichever ending you need. So just to have a look at some of the regular verbs, there's a sample here. Donner is the verb to give. So again, you leave the verb in full, je donnerai, and you add on your correct ending then, AIS for je. For tu is donnerai, il, elle, on donnerai, nous donnerions, vous donneriez, il, elle donnerait. Okay, so that's the conditional. I would give, you would give, he, she, one would give, we would give, ye would give, and they would give. Okay, and we'll have a look at finir, which is an IR verb and a regular verb. So again, you have the full verb finir, so je finir, and onto it a, the ending. So je finirai, tu finirais, il, elle, on finirait, nous finirions, vous finiriez, il, elle finirait. So I would finish, you would finish, he, she, one would finish, we would finish, ye would finish, and they would finish. And then the RE verbs that are regular, you'll notice the E is gone. Okay, so je vendrai, tu vendrais, il, elle, on vendrait, nous vendrions, vous vendriez, il, elle vendrait. Again, I would sell, you would sell, he, she, one would sell, we would sell, ye would sell, and they would sell. Okay, so just to recap, for regular verbs, you leave the verb in full and you add on the ending you need, just bearing in mind for RE regular verbs that you drop the E off. Okay, and if you think of it this way, there has to be an R before you apply an ending. So you have to get rid of the E then. Okay, for the irregular verbs, the irregular verbs are the same in the conditional tense as the future tense, and they change to the same stem. Okay, so good news there. So the same verbs that are irregular in the future are irregular in the conditional tense, and they change to the same stem. So you already have these learned. You'll notice the list is exactly the same. So for example, with the irregulars, aller is the verb to go. You cannot leave that in the infinitive. You need to change it to a new stem, which in this case is IR, and onto this then would go the ending you need. Appeler is the verb to call. So again, it's very slight, just the double L. Avoir is the verb to have, and it'll change to or, and onto or would go whichever ending you're using. Courir needs to change to cour before applying an ending. Devoir to devre, envoyer, envers, être, ser, faire, faire, pouvoir, pour. Pleuvoir to pleuve, which is the verb to rain, and of course there's only one form of that verb always, which is il. It is raining, so il pleuvrait. Recevoir, the verb to get, is recevre. Savoir changes to savoir. Tenir to tiendre. Venir to viendre. Voir to ver, and vouloir to voudre. Okay, so they're all your stems for the irregular verbs, exactly the same as the future sample. Just a few examples done out. So j'irai, I would go. So go is aller, but you would change it to the new stem, IR, and then you put on the ending you need for je, which is AIS. So j'irai, I would go. She would have, so have is the verb avoir. It changes to or, and then you add on the ending AIT. So elle aurait, she would have. It would be is the verb être. It is the word se. So there's être changing to ser, and then the ending AIT. The word it is the il and elle line. And the last one, we would be able. So able is pouvoir, or we often say I can is pouvoir. So to be able to is pouvoir. It changes to pour, and then you add IONS as your ending. Okay, so just to recap on all of it, regular verbs stay in full, just watch the RE ones and you apply the ending you need. Irregular verbs, you have a list of them here, the same as the future list. They change to a new stem, and onto that new stem goes the ending that you need. Okay, I'm going to post this up on Edmodo anyway, but I will be asking you just to do the next two exercises. So the first one is straightforward. You're just conjugating the verbs. Watch there, number 5, when it's a plural, it's the last part ending that you use. And the second exercise is translating from English to French. I've just done the first 3 because often in these sentences, especially if you're saying I would like, you are going to have a second verb coming after it, and that second verb is left in full. Okay, you conjugate the conditional for the first one, but you don't for the second, like you usually would anyway. If there's 2 verbs in a sentence, the second verb is always just left in full. So I've just done the first 3. So when you're looking at them, I would like, translate that first, because the would is conditional. So the verb is like here, you put that into the conditional tense, which is je voudrais, and then the second verb to go is left in full. Okay, on will, we would like. So you do that first, nous aimerions. The second verb then is to watch, and you leave that in full. I would like, again, conjugate that first, je voudrais. Then you have a second verb, which is réserver, une chambre, and so on. And you'll work your way down. My brother would like, that's your first verb, and to learn is the second verb. When you're doing questions, so would you like to stay with us, you will just invert and start with the verb word. So would you like, you would like would be tu voudrais, AIS ending, and then you just turn it around and you start with voudrais tu. Or if you want to make it in the polite form, use the vous part. Then your second verb is to stay, which is rester, avec nous. Would you be able, so that's pouvoir. Okay, so start with the verb word, and the second verb then is to go. She would like, first verb, second one to travel. My mother would like, first verb, second verb to go. Italy is a feminine country, so watch that little ta. It would be brilliant. Again, you're using être here and ce. Okay, we just had a look at that anyway. And then we would play. That's your first verb. You don't have a second one here, so tennis. Okay, is the last one. Okay, bonne chance.